Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a Ashe supplementary guide, and today we're going to be talking about on-hit Ashe. Now, the reason why I say it's a supplementary guide because I actually think that the crit version of Ashe with the BT first item is actually better. Haven't yet made a video on that, but you guys can look forward to it coming out soon. I will, be definitely playing a couple of Ashe games and definitely be creating some content on that. Excuse me. So, without further ado, let's jump straight into the items, the runes, and the spells. So first up, the items. It's basically a very typical on-hit item. Loadout. Basically, it's like Callista's build, almost, I think you could say. But we did reorder stuff from the last time we did a on-hit Ashe video for last patch. But basically, this time we are going to start off with the Gluttonous Greaves instead of getting the attack speed boots. Last time I did say attack speed boots would be good because you can get the early attack speed and proc your PTA faster, things like that. But I honestly just think Gluttonous Greaves is better for majority of ADCs majority of the time. Now, you will probably get a stronger early game spike with attack speed boots just because, again, you can proc your PTA faster and things like that. But I think in the grand scheme of things, just having the extra AD and the Omnivamp from Gluttonous Greaves is probably going to help you more in the grand scheme of things overall. So, again, AD Omnivamp. First item, Blade of the Rune King. Of course, your current health on hit damage, AD attack speed, physical vamp, as well as the drain passive. Of course, you generally want to go for this build when you're playing against a tanky team. So Bork first item is going to be logical because you can shred down that tank. Then we have Brilliant Hurricane second item. Of course, gives you physical damage on hit, a little bit of AD. But of course, the important part is being able to attack 3 enemies at the same time and proc on hit effects onto all 3 of them. Of course, you also get attack speed. And then after that, we go into Terminus, which of course a very, very strong item. Still, 40 AD, 30% attack speed, 35 bonus magic damage on hit. And of course, the stacking resistances as well as the stacking penetrations. Of course, just all really good, very useful. And then, most of the time, there's going to be some magic damage on the enemy team. This is where the Wit's End comes in. For the attack speed, the magic resist, as well as, of course, the healing and the on-hit magic damage. Now, if there isn't any magic damage on the enemy team, if you really wanted to, you could swap this out for another item. For example, instead of going for Wit's End, you could go for something like a Phantom Dancer, if you prefer, or you could even go for a Bloodthirster early and then another defensive item later on. But last item, assuming you don't need like a Maw or something like that, you could go Wit's End plus Maw into really heavy magic damage, but assuming you don't need like a GA or what not defensive item, Bloodthirster is a really amazing last item because you get a lot of AD from it, just really good stat line. Because you don't have a lot of AD in the build overall, you just have a lot of attack speed. So, to fix kind of this lack of AD kind of problem, we instead of going for lethal tempo, which is going to give us even more attack speed, which we don't really need at this point, we go for PTA, which is going to help us in the laning phase because Ashe has really long range, can be very oppressive in lane, and also in the later part of the game, increases your damage by a lot. Brutal, of course, lets me auto attack quite a bit. Giant Slayer, of course, as you're playing this build generally into a tanky team. And we have Bloodline here just for more healing. And here we have Bone Plating for the defensive capabilities. Now for the summoner spells, Flash, together with generally Ghost. Exhaust is an option as well, but Ghost is generally the better option to just kite around. Because you already slow them with your auto attacks and abilities, and just having the extra movement speed, both from slowing them and from speeding yourself up, is completely amazing just for kiting them out or chasing them down. So with all that said, let's now jump into the gameplay. Okay, so now we're moving on to the gameplay section of the video. Now, Ashe is actually a really, really strong laner into majority of lanes. Honestly, if you're into like a short range champion like Samira, like Lucian, it's a pretty good matchup. If you're against, someone with long range like Caitlyn, for example, it is also a pretty good matchup because Caitlyn barely has more range than you. Even if you're against someone like a Draven, also pretty good, you have range to bully Draven. So in general, Ashe is actually pretty strong in lane, which is not something that everybody actually knows. Some people actually think Ashe is pretty weak in lane. Yes, her damage is actually not very high. However, the fact that she has very long range is the same kind of logic as Caitlyn, where because of your range, you can't attack them when they cannot attack you. So it doesn't matter if you only do just a little bit of damage. You get attacks in on them like this, what I'm doing to Nautilus here, when they cannot really actually touch you whatsoever. So you do want to make use of this in lane to chip away at the enemies whenever you are able to, and this will of course lead to better opportunities to set your jungler up for ganks because they'll be a little bit lower health, or you just set yourself up for 2v2 kills, something to that effect. So here you can see I'm already trying to stick to that game plan, proccing the PTA onto the Lucian. He's taking a little bit of damage. Now, Nautilus goes in without the Lucian. Lucian's PTA is still active, so I actually get in like an extra damage auto attack there. Lucian taking a beating, goes down to half health. Nautilus loses a quarter of his health, and me and Nami barely actually took any damage here. So here the toolkit spawning, but I'm not going to walk there because Nautilus is on the enemy team, and if I just stand there and take the toolkit, he is going to hook me, and that would not be very good for me. So instead you see Lucian falls into the trap, he takes the toolkit, gets bubbled by Nami, I proc the PTA, he has to flash away and ghost as well. This Lucian did take ghost, by the way, which is really weird summoner spell choice, but Nautilus had to use exhaust. You know, did just use flash in the river there. Lucian used both flash and ghost. So I still have both my summoner spells. I have a huge advantage over the enemy bot lane. And yeah, so you can see why the toolkit is a bait majority of the time now. Even if Lucian got like the best ones, like let's say the one that's like the Soraka ultimate, or even the one that takes the turret platings for you, even if he got those, I still think it's not worth trading both your summoner spells for those. So yeah, I mean, it's just think about it. You wouldn't flash for a tower plate, would you? Most people would. So it really isn't that worth it. So yeah, don't get baited by the toolkit. People still fall into this trap even though we've already had the toolkit for a good amount of time. I thought it would just be the first 1 or 2 weeks kind of situation, but it seems that a lot of people just have those itchy fingers. They need to walk to the toolkit and they need to get the toolkit. Yeah, I honestly, I haven't really picked up that many toolkits because I really think it's the majority of the time it's a bait. So here I get a good chunk onto Nautilus. Pelt Lucian just a little bit as well. And yeah, so now we're going to go back to farming Nautilus, channeling Hex Splash, we know that. Chooses not to engage on Nami at all. Pretty interesting one. I thought he was going to hook Nami in there, but he did not, which is probably for the best for him, because he's going to be taking a chunk of damage if he goes in on Nami, because I'm in range. So here Nautilus tries to take the toolkit as well, does get it, but does take a W to the face for his efforts. And they did get the turret plate taking one, so they are going to be able to get a turret plate from that toolkit. So they did get one of the best ones there. A little bit unfortunate for us, but hey, you know, again, I still don't think you should be fighting so hard for the toolkit. Another Hex Splash being channeled by Nautilus. We are of course aware of that, so we know not to like stand in front of the minions or not to be out of position. Nautilus level 5, so he can just ult us if he wants to, and he can get an engage that way. But you know, as I say, we still have both our summoner spells, so we should be relatively safe in the sense that we can always just flash away if he tries to ult us, and he probably is going to knock us up in a rather bad position for him. So here, Nautilus gets a hook in, Lucian pops the ulti, I whiff my ulti tremendously, I get exhausted, and I'm going to have to be forced to flash away. Now, if the exhaust wasn't there, we could definitely have fought that, but with the exhaust there, we don't really have the damage, and so now, I'm forced to use both my summoner spells. Nami uses both the summoner spells as well. Lucian and Nautilus now have a summoner spell advantage onto us, but for some weird reason, they actually back, all the way back to base, so we actually managed to get the wave out, and crash it before we actually recall, which is amazing for us, because Nautilus clearly wasn't interested in stopping it. Lucian was around, but yeah. So we are able to go back, we pick up our boots, and we also have our recurve bow. The first objectives are spawning right now, so with that, we should be ready to fight at the objective if required. And yeah, so here we're first going to be pushing out the wave if possible. Still a couple seconds from objective spawning. We should be able to have priority on the wave because we're double range champion into a short range champion and a melee champion. So we should be able to shove out the wave. Now Zinja is pinging that he's coming down for some reason, but I don't really think you can really do anything to them while they're under the tower here. So we're just pushing out the wave and we're going to rotate over to the dragon, as you guys see here. Now, basically they're forced to deal with this wave here, or they could rotate but lose the minions, and that's not very ideal either way. So here we're going to just focus it down. We get the dragon, and we get a little bit of poke onto the Nautilus and Lucian as well. And yeah, honestly not too much happening because we don't really have enough damage to really kill either of them unless they make an egregious error. At the same time, as long as we don't get caught, we shouldn't be dying as well. So eventually it just kind of evens out to a pretty tame laning phase. Now here I try to sneak in the plate. We do get the plate. And we do pop the W to slow Nautilus, ensure he doesn't engage on us unless he wants to pop the flash. Enemy team gets the mimics. Nautilus does end up getting the engage onto me, roots me, I pop the ghost. I'm simply just walking it off. Nami actually gets hooked in. I get the stun onto Nautilus. The Vi ult comes in onto Nami. Nami's taking a ton of damage, and yeah, now I'm stuck under tower with the Vi, Nautilus, and Lucian hungry for blood. I'm getting a lot of damage onto Nautilus, dodging that Vi Q. Nautilus hooks in onto me. Vi stuns, root, chain CC. Eventually, I do go down, but I do end up getting the trade kill onto the Vi, which I think is really not the worst thing in the world. Now, I'm not sure if I really could have played that better. Of course, if I didn't get hooked by Nautilus in the first place, that would have been great. But I wonder if I should have actually let Vi hit me with her Q under the tower. Because I think if she actually hits the Q on me and tower aggroes her, I actually think I straight up just kill her under tower before she can walk out. So maybe I should just let her actually just hit me with the Q there. But yeah, overall, pretty good play by the enemy team. They end up trading 1 for 2, getting the kill onto both me and Nami. And here you can see that we have the board completed, and you can see in this match we do have Nautilus, who has a Warmock's first item. We have a Swain who has Roa, and we have Vi who is building some health as well with the presence of the Triforce. As a matter of fact, even Teemo has health on the crown, so huge value for Giant Slayer as well as, of course, for the Blade of the Rune King. So Blade of the Rune King first item is amazing in this particular game. Now here you can see Vi, Swain, and Teemo are all on the top side, and Nautilus is here with us. Lucian, we don't know where he is. He looks like he's right there, based on the fact he just launched that W. So now we have to be a bit cautious because we don't actually have a tower here. We can't just get run down by them all the way to tier 2. Although I do think that's quite unlikely. And I think in the long fight, I think I do more damage than Lucian. Because Lucian is a lot more burst damage than actual DPS. First item for Lucian is actually Solari Charge Blade, which is a pretty interesting choice. I would have thought that Dust Blade or even BT might be better. Speaking of Lucian, we will be releasing a Lucian video after this Ashe one on a supplementary guide with the BT build, so stay tuned for that one. And yeah, so now, bot lane is, we did lose our tower, so we are rotating mid to kind of match the Lucian Nautilus here to ensure they don't just bully our mid laner and push down the tower. Vi engages on the side. We are just trying to stop her. Ult comes in onto me, and the root comes in as well. I'm kind of getting a little bit caught out. But I managed to kind of reposition towards the back, but I have to kind of flash away again. Now Nami is getting chased by 4 men. I'm trying to actually ult someone to maybe slow them down. I actually get the ult onto the Lucian to prevent him from joining the fight. Unfortunately, Teemo and Swain is enough to finish off the kill on Nami, so I'm not able to save her with the ult. But it was a good attempt, I would say. So it looks like Vi is building some health items second because she has a Ruby Crystal as well as a Kindle Gem, might be a Heart Steel. So yeah, huge value for my Bork here. The more health the enemy team builds, the more value I get from both Bork and Giant Slayer, and it's just going to be amazing. So here, nothing's really happening, so I'm just going to clear the wave. You can see Nautilus at top, we know Vi is at the blue buff, Lucian was at mid, but might be rotating down, so we don't want to over push, which is why I don't even clear the entire wave. I'm actually leaving the minions to clear up that wave and crash into the tower, because I don't know if Vi is rotating instantly and Lucian is behind her or something like that, because if that's the case, Vi ults me and Lucian probably just kills me. So without vision, we cannot really take that risk to push out the entire wave. Now it turns out that Vi was actually in our side of the jungle for some reason, and the minions actually whacked the tower for a good like 10 seconds, so we could have actually gotten the tower if we just walked up there and took it. But of course, that is objectively not the correct play since we don't actually have the information as to where the Lucian and the Vi are, and we could just die if we actually do that. And maybe if we did that, Vi would have just came straight over to gank us, because that would be pretty logical. So Dragon is now up. We already got the first Dragon. We are now trying to contest the second one. Zoe and Teemo are both at top. The rest of us are at the Dragon area contesting. And Vi is kind of starting out the Dragon already. Now Nautilus is in that bush, gets the hook onto the Garen. Vi actually, I get ulted by Vi and Nautilus and pulled back by Swain. I essentially do absolutely nothing before getting pulled in and just straight up dying. So yeah, probably means I was way out of position there. I should have been further back, so I couldn't just get engaged on by Nautilus or whoever else. And because of that, I get, just basically just chain CC'd in one shot and just killed, essentially. So Nami is the last member alive. She's running for the hills. Does manage to escape in a heist. And here I'm now respawn. Enemy team is gonna of course pick up the dragon. Also picks up a couple of towers, and you can see there are huge waves in mid and bot. So I'm first heading to mid where the wave has already crashed to clear that one out. Even popping the Q for extra damage and faster attack speed. And then we see a huge wave has accrued in bot. Now I'm rushing over to grab that wave before anyone else can get it. So here I'm with these huge waves, I'm gonna be able to have enough to get Runan's Hurricane, which of course, as we know, is gonna be a game changer in team fights, where you're able to apply the Runan's bolts onto two additional enemies other than your main focus. So here I am pushing another wave, which is why I actually launched the Hawk Shot to actually check if anyone is perhaps in the area or might come down to gang me. It doesn't look like the case. I believe our minions are able to take the top tower and pick up an objective bounty for us. So here we are able to complete the Runan's Hurricane, but also get an additional dagger just from that extra wave goal as well as that objective bounty goal. So we are a really good amount behind the enemy team. Even after that objective bounty, we are still 6k behind, or 5+k behind the enemy team, which is not really good. So our team is kind of losing. Garen is kind of hardcore feeding. Xin Zhao not really doing too hot, but kind of staying on par with the Vi in terms of gold. Our Zoe kind of way behind the Swain. Swain's really tanky. Here you can see Nami gets caught, but is kind of able to flash over the wall. I'm just free hitting onto the Nautilus since no one is stopping me, but I am maintaining my range to ensure that I'm not getting caught myself. Here I pop the ghost because a fight is clearly happening. We catch out the Swain. I try to arrow him, but he stays right at the correct time, so we're not able to actually catch him. We get the kill on him and we get the shutdown. Now Nautilus is now running for the hills. We're trying to catch him as well. Zoe gets the kill onto him. Now Teemo and Vi are the next two challengers. We're gonna flash forward, get the slow onto the Vi, finish her off, and now we're trying to do the same to the Teemo, but Teemo still has flash and flashes back to the safety of his tower. Relative safety of his tower, I should say. Zoe goes in with the stolen flash, gets a lot of damage down onto the Teemo, but unfortunately does not hit the sleep onto him, because if she did, we might have actually been able to kill him together, but she only landed the Q and not the sleep. Now at this point I'm going to actually reset and grab myself the components for the Terminus. Of course, at this point we have 2 attack speed items already, so I was thinking attack damage is probably more important here, so I actually get the BF sword here instead of completing the recurve bow. And yeah, we're just gonna farm up in the meanwhile while nothing too much is happening, farming the mid wave as well as the jungle. And red buff share does come in. Now Xin Zhao Hex gates over, but is getting caught by Vi and Nautilus and Lucian as well, which is not really too good. That's one of the drawbacks of the Hex gate, giving the entire map vision of you, so now they know where you are. Now he actually survives very long, and Vi actually goes down. Now here I'm trying to get to the fight where Teemo is at as well. Now I'm focusing down Teemo, just using my auto attacks. I use the arrow and to actually stun him, but I actually end up killing him by mistake. Not by mistake, but unintentionally, I guess you could say. So now, with only Lucian and Swain left alive, it's a Baron angle for my team. So we're all focusing Baron with the exception of Garen, who's pushing. And Zoe appears she's trying to zone people away from the Baron pit. Is doing a relatively successful job of doing so. And we do secure the Baron eventually. The mecha is in the base. We actually complete our Terminus, but we're not going to bother too much about the mecha ourselves, because ADC should almost never be in the mecha, because this will of course lead to huge damage loss for your team, because you are the main form of DPS of your team. So you don't want to be hopping into the TX and having fun. You want to be with your team ready to deal the damage if necessary or when needed. So here the final dragon is going to be spawning in about half a minute's time. However, both team already has a dragon each. So soul is not really a thing in this game anymore. So the last dragon, honestly, is not too important. A little bit of a fake objective in my opinion. So here, TX going in. Now my Nami transports the Nautilus out to me, and then now gets, kind of change the seat here. However, I'm still relatively safe in the backline. I'm able to kill the Nautilus, and now focusing the Swain as well. Swain does end up going down. Everybody dies with the exception of the Vi, and this could be a possible angle to end the game just with one person left alive on the enemy team. And that's why we're hardcore pushing down. We have the Baron minions. Vi, I'm not quite sure what she's trying to do, maybe trying to go on Zoe, but can't really stop us. The only main way is to try to make herself juicy and try to distract people. Dinosaur just whacks Vi away. And Nexus Shield is still active, so we're trying to remove that Nexus Shield, which we are eventually able to do. And now we're onto the actual Nexus. Vi is doing a good job of distracting us to buy time for our team, but unfortunately it appears that it's still too late. We do end up winning the game before the enemy team can even come. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.